two finalists I'm going to introduce you to. Just the way this is going to go, they're going to get a few minutes to make one last pitch. The judges get a couple minutes to ask them a few questions. That's for your benefit. And then you vote. So we're going to get right to it. Contestant number 1, Dr. David Benrimoh of Aifred Labs. Round of applause, please.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you. Yes. And these are for you guys.
And contestant number 2 is Farnoud Kazemzadeh of Euclid Labs. Oh, okay. All right, we'll start with you, David. You can see the clock there. That's your 5 minutes to make your pitch to the audience and the judges. Away you go.
Thank you very much. Slides. Okay, so I'm Dr. David Benrimoh, and I'm here to tell you all about how Aifred Health is going to change the way we do mental health care by bringing precision medicine to psychiatry for the first time. Next slide. So this is Frank. Frank was a patient of mine who I saw in medical school who spent 9 years trying to find the right treatment for his depression. That's 9 years of not being able to do what he wanted to do for his family, 9 years of struggling with suicidality, losing his business before he found what helped him get better. Next slide. Ooh, thank you, clicker. That's the technology. There we go. Frank is not alone. 1 in 9 people will suffer from depression over the course of their lives. That's 1 in 7 in North America. 70% of patients, just like Frank, fail to respond to the first treatment they're given. And the problem is that treatment is trial and error. Doctors and patients have no principled way of choosing the right treatment for the right patient at the right time. So at Aifred, we're asking, what if we could turn this 9 years into 9 minutes, into 1 doctor's visit, get the treatment right the first time? We would help 322 million people who have depression right now. We would help make a dent in the world's largest cause of disability on the planet, which would also help us start to control the rising costs of depression, which are slated to hit $1 trillion globally, $210 billion in the US every single year. Our mission is to provide true precision medicine for mental health with the power of artificial intelligence, and our solution is to provide software for doctors and patients to enhance treatment selection. Importantly, it's not about diagnosis. That's the easy part. It's about helping choose treatments. This is what it looks like for the doctor. You get a bunch of great information about the drugs. We're going to be bringing in side effect prediction as well in the future. And you get predictions from our AI that help you rank the treatments. And then you get to work with your patient, if you're a doctor, to make better and more informed decisions about treatment. The AI is not deciding for you. It's acting as an assistant. With our technology, we're going to be able to reduce treatment time by 50% and more by combining best current clinical evidence with our AI predictions, bringing costs per patient from $25,000 down to between $6,500 and $12,500. That's $100 billion per year saved in North America alone. We are doing this by using advanced deep learning technologies. We already have an accurate model of screening for suicidal ideations, and our medication response prediction algorithm that helps us choose between different treatments in a personalized way uses simple questions to the patient to accurately do better than guess and check approach treatment. All of this without expensive genetic or neuroimaging testing, so we can get this out to as many people as we can, as quickly as we can. We are a software as a service model with a twist. Our value is to provide higher quality care at lower costs. Our clients tell us that basically, in addition, we're helping to serve as a great differentiator from their competitors in the highly competitive healthcare market. Our clients are the people who pay for care: insurers, HMOs, telemedicine, governments. Our models are paper licensed, clinician or patient, and we're already reimbursable in the US under certain codes. The bonus for us is that more users means more data. More data means an evolving product that we can regionalize, make specific to the needs of the institutions we work with, and we can start adding other conditions. We can move to anxiety, we can move to schizophrenia, we can move to addiction and opioids. In our first year, we've already come really far. We are ranked first in Canada and second in the world for the IBM Watson AI X Prize competition, which is very, very rigorously judged. We have groundbreaking AI technologies that we have developed in-house. We are piloting, as we speak, an app at the Montreal Jewish General Hospital so we can get good feedback on our application development. We have the first ever approved clinical trials for a decision support system based on AI in psychiatry that we hope to launch within a year. We have already revenue from a 6-figure contract with a large telemedicine client, and we have support from key opinion leaders here in North America and in the UK. We were also featured in the Wall Street Journal and the Financial Post, which is always nice. So join us to tackle a huge global problem with a team of experts. I'm talking about neuroscientists, clinicians who actually speak the language of machine learning, machine learners who can speak with clinicians out of practice, business people who have a great passion for this field and this huge problem that we want to tackle. We have a solid plan to become leaders in this multi-billion-dollar market, and for me, honestly, we have a solid plan to save lives, to save potentially millions of lives, and that's what motivates me to keep pushing. Thank you very much.
Well done, David. We now got a couple of minutes for any of the coaches to pose a question. Lydia?
You mentioned machine learning, and artificial intelligence is only as good as the data sets that you're putting in. Can you tell me how diverse your data sets are and how large they are?
Absolutely, great question. So we have access to about 42,000 patient records that we've gotten from industry, researchers, and open data sets like the NIMH. We're using that as our base. It's going to help us learn what we need to know. It's also going to help us build the first version of our product. We will know exactly how diverse it is. Now, as you know, clinical trials sometimes aren't as diverse as they should be. However, because we have a lot of data coming from researchers, we have some clinical trials that are focused on women, some clinical trials that are focused on the elderly. We're able to get more and more data from more diverse groups, which are more often explored in research. Once we know what our lack is, we're going to be able to target the data collection towards those demographics and make sure that our model responsibly expands and expands over time. We're not going to come out and say this model works for everybody all over the world all the time. We're going to say, here's who it works for. Help us collect more data so we can make it better and cover everyone.
It's not easy getting into the health system, at least in Canada. And if you have to go through clinical trials and you have to get validation, you have a very long tail before you're going to be making revenues. So I'm wondering on your business model, and to what extent are you looking south of the border or in Canada?
Great question. So first thing, a precision about the clinical trials. In North America, we don't have a regulatory pathway right now. It's not being currently regulated. It will be soon, so we're getting out ahead of it by doing the clinical trials. But the nice thing is that we don't have to necessarily go through the same pathway a drug would. But we believe in being very careful, so we're doing it. But that means also that as soon as our trial is done, we can start marketing. We also are starting our initial revenues focused on more strategic partnerships with different organizations so we can start building up some revenue. And our market is, and I would go to the slide, but I don't have it here because they cut the slide off, but our markets are going to be in the US for sure. So we already are actually, a client in the US who has access to a lot of data just said they want to work with us, and we're just figuring out the business deal now. So, yes.
Thank you.
Very exciting. What's your nearest competitor doing in that, what you're doing different?
Great question. So really the only companies who are competing with us right now are the genetics companies. Genetics companies are interesting because often it's a B2C model, whereas we're a B2B model. So it's a bit of a different space. Secondly, their cost is about $250 to $330 per patient. Our cost per patient is a lot less than that because often we're billing the doctor or the doctor's institution to provide them the license, and it comes out to way less than that. We're also able to get the AI insights into the session the day of. So you go to see your doctor, they diagnose with depression, they use the tool, and that's it. You don't have to wait 2 weeks, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days to get the genetic result back, which for a lot of people who can't, who are maybe a single mother or people who can't take multiple days off per week to go see the doctor, that's a big plus for them. Yeah.
One last question.
So I have a friend of mine who passed away. His name is Avicii. And Avicii had suffered from depression. In our business, we have a lot of people that suffer from depression. You was talking about artificial intelligence, combining that. How accurate is that? Because it just seems like when I'm listening, a lot of the data, because humans are different.
Yeah.
So it seems like with the early data that you're going to be creating, it's not going to really be that accurate. Till as we go on and we start learning, the data will keep getting better. So
yeah.
what's the how do I know, you know what I mean, that it's accurate if I bring somebody to you right now, you know?
Absolutely, great question. So we have two ways of establishing accuracy. The first one is to establish accuracy using the very rigorous metrics we've actually developed along with some mathematicians from outside of our company. So we have some really good scientific validation on how to see if our models are accurate. After that, what we do is we're going to be, before we release this to the wide market, doing clinical trial and limited piloting with strategic partners. That will help us see in a real patient population, are we hurting anybody? More importantly, and secondly, are we doing better than current practice? From what we can see with our rigorous validation, we're going to be doing better than clinical practice. The question becomes, in the real world, how much better? I think significantly better. Once we start getting access to more and more data, as you said, it's only going to get better. But those initial clinical trials are going to be our safety net to make sure that we're not making anything worse.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank
A round
you.
of applause for David. All right, it is time now for Farnoud. Farnoud?
Hi. There we go. So there's a fundamental problem with our healthcare system, and that problem is the fact that it's very much centralized. The way we provision healthcare today is we go to our primary care physician, then they requisition a lab test, or they pass us along to a secondary care specialist, or tertiary care interventionalists. And that system is by default broken because there is one path to care. Better path to care is if we decentralize healthcare and give the primary care physicians or care providers the tools and ability to be able to provide that level of care at lab-based or secondary and tertiary at the primary level. Even better is if we distribute it. So if we put that level of care into your homes, so you can actually participate in your own healthcare. That is what we're doing with the Lucid Labs, and the vertical that we decided to attack first is the vertical of dermatology, namely skin cancer. So why is this an interesting problem to solve? There's 110 million cases of skin cancer that are presented every year. The diagnostic process, as you see, is convoluted. It takes a long time. Best case scenario, 2 months. Worst case scenario, a couple of years. And it's an underserved problem because there aren't enough specialists. And the diagnostic process is quite archaic. It is literally a magnifying glass, and always, often, more than often, it's a biopsy. So this magnifying glass is a little bit more glorified. It's got lights around it, and there's a lot of people who are doing this, and a lot of physicians are doing it. This is the standard method of care. And what they can't determine 95% of the times incorrectly is this cancerous or not? Then we go into the next phase of this. There's the folks you see up there who are taking a different approach to analyzing and giving information to the doctors. And the last sort of group are people who are actually diagnosing. They're claiming a diagnostic. And that's a very bold claim. So we do the same. This is our device. It's an optical imaging device paired with artificial intelligence. This is actually a unit we have across 10 clinics in Canada doing clinical trials. And what we're doing is we're using AI in two different ways. One is to classify and diagnose. The other is to use it as to augment the imaging. So we build computational optics using AI and deep learning. And so I'll just show you how the computational optics works for a second. So this is dermoscopy. This is what the doctors use today. And those are just dermoscopy images of 4 different cases. This is the power of computational optics, AI in hardware. You get more information. The information you see on the left, those false color images, are melanin concentration as a function of depth. So that's what pathologists look for, folks. They cut it out, put it under a microscope to see that. Now we can see it without the biopsy. You guys are the first ones to see this for the first time ever in medicine. Explainable AI. We're actually taking the black box away from the AI, and we're allowing the physicians to see why a diagnostic decision was reached. Regulators love this. Or a less trained physician or less experienced physicians can perform at the capabilities of the most experienced physicians. So let's just talk about AI. So diagnosing cancer when it's cancer, diagnosing when it's not cancer. Our numbers are there. Our sensitivity currently saves 15,000 lives a year. Our specificity currently saves $5 billion a year in North America. Just to wrap it up, patients can get their diagnosis in a matter of seconds as opposed to months or weeks. The diagnosis is done in a non-invasive manner, again, a matter of seconds. Doctors can now see more patients because, I don't know if you knew, dermatologists don't really like doing skin cancer. They like doing Botox injection and cosmetic visits. And so in this manner, they can do their Botox visits and cosmetic visits and also provide cancer care. And they can improve their throughput. So more money for them. At the end of the day, we're negating all the unnecessary procedures, which brings down the cost of healthcare. Currently, we're working with Dr. Neil Shear at Sunnybrook up the street, Dr. Joe Kveter at Harvard Medical, and Dr. Justin Coe at Stanford Medical. And these are some of the sites that we're running our clinical trials in. We will provide the solution as a baseline annual fee with an assessment code, which is reimbursable under OHIP, at least in Ontario, and under PCT codes in the US. And I've sort of highlighted the regions and the cities that we're going to go into first. So this is the team. We have an experience in biomedical imaging, medicine, optical engineering, and artificial intelligence. As well, we're adding the strong clinical team, not public yet, and a very adverse business team. I guess I'll stop there.
Question for you. Given the fact that we all have basically supercomputers in our pockets, why not go direct to consumer with something like that? I mean, I've had things on my arm that have been like weird, maybe not. You know, I certainly would love to just snap a picture and get an answer right away. Hey, you're fine.
Yeah, so the supercomputers in our pockets, that's what they are. They're just supercomputers. They're not super imagers. Right. Or they don't allow the efficacy of imaging that we provide with our solution. So the AI has been implemented on cell phones and has been used for this purpose. And they basically reached the glass ceiling. And it's how do you go above that and go and start tending toward biopsy, where you have diagnostic efficacy across the board. So that's the reason that the different approach is required. Okay. Yes. Sorry,
it's a bit of part A and part B and not too different than the other question. I assume you have to go through clinical trials for this. So what is the length of time between where you are today, going through clinical trials, having a good revenue stream, and during that time, how do you build up your company? So what is your underlying business model for revenues?
So great question. So the clinical trials for us is not like a pharma clinical trial. It doesn't take years. We're working with an FDA statistician. We only need 4,000 cases, statistically representative across the malignancies. And cases, not people, cases. And we don't do any extra work. Like there's no extra lab work. We don't recruit. We don't follow up patients. It's a very non-invasive procedure. So it's quite fast, as a matter of fact. In the meantime, what we're actually doing is this workflow optimizations for doctors, telemedicine. And this is a way that you can actually provide the information that a physician needs to make a decision at a distance. Otherwise, we go back to the cell phone idea of, I'll use two examples, Apple and Samsung. They have different photo finishes for a reason, because they want to make the prettiest picture. They want to make you buy their phone because they have the prettiest picture. And that's not what medicine needs. Medicine doesn't need pretty pictures. They need high radiometrically accurate images so doctors can make a decision based on that. So that is our revenue stream while we become that dermatologist in the box. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I guess a question around your accuracy. One is, you mentioned you're much higher on the accuracy, but do you more often miss detecting or do you misdiagnose? Which kind of ties to my second question. I'm on the board at Sunnybrook, and my father happened to have had skin cancer, and he went through that circle. And I don't see the downside to running your process beside the internal process, right? So pre-biopsy doing it. So with the hospital like Sunnybrook, are you able to do that, or what stands in the way?
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. The purpose for this isn't to replace dermatologists. Right, the purpose for this is to augment their capabilities and actually bring their capabilities down to the primary level care where your father most likely went first before they got they went up, sort of escalated toward the chains. So that's basically what we're trying to do. It's negating the unnecessary procedures that exist today that are invasive, and also being able to empower physicians and even nurse practitioners at a much earlier stage in the care process. And that's how you basically break the bottleneck of this. I mean, I'll give you a stat. I'm not a stats guy, but I'll give you one quick stat. There's one doctor to every 9,000 skin cancer patients in every year. So if that doctor, that one doctor, was to see all skin cancer patients per year, they won't make it. And they have money to make with Botox. So that's...
Thank you very much, Farnoud. A round of applause for Farnoud. I'm actually going to invite our contestants off the stage because the time has come to vote. So this is where you get your app out, and it is 90 seconds that we will do this live. You pick which one of those two pitches will win the People's Choice Award. I got to ask you guys, Linda, of all of these, how hard is it to whittle down to two?
Well, you saw the quality of these two. Are you picking skin cancer over mental health? Like, there's such incredible advancements in both regards.
Yeah.
So all along the way, it's been just as hard to whittle down. It's fantastic work.
So,
As well, like, it was absolutely crazy to have to make a decision that didn't necessarily result in something as amazing as one of these come to the fore.
I mean, the truth is, by the time these teams get here, the 16 are all pretty incredible. They used to say, and I can tell this joke because I'm an architect by training, we used to say of the engineers that an outgoing engineer looks at the other guy's shoes while he talks. Wyclef, were you surprised that these people know how to present? I mean, these are not shrinking violets.
More so presenting. I mean, these are real needs right now at our time. Like, this is what's going on real time. Yeah. And this is we need solution for this right now. This is what impressed me the most.
Yeah. You touched on the fact that, mental health touches a lot of people. We've seen a couple of things today that suggest real game-changing breakthroughs on the health front. That's pretty exciting, right? To me, that's one of the most exciting things that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge for me. The idea of the whole artificial intelligence and combining with the human factor of the mind, I think we're going to get much further that way.
Yeah. It's a real epidemic, right? Anything we can do to get more patients seen more quickly or more concerns.
Yeah.
Lots of excitement in the room.
How's the voting going out there, folks? When you are finished, they're going to bring out the name of the lucky winner, and I guess we'll all agree that those two finalists are both winners. Thank you very much. All right, now you have to stop talking. The People's Choice winner is Elucid Labs.
Congratulations.
It's a fast voting panel. Would have taken us hours.
Thank you very much. Yeah, do you want, yeah? I assume there she is down there. Get in with the judges.
Sure, yeah, let's get a picture of the group.
There you go.
All of us?
Yeah.
Bring it in.
Bring it in. There you go. That'd be great.
All right. You can all exit stage left. Congratulations, Farnoud. Thank you. Congratulations to Farnoud and also to Dave and all of the other finalists who made it to this festival. We have one more announcement to make, and this is the funding winner. This is $1 million elevator pitch prize, but the investors who've been meeting with those 16 participants today decided that $1 million was just not enough. They've decided to award $5 million. And I'm going to ask now the lucky recipient of funding, Daisy Intelligence CEO Gary Saranverta and Espresso CEO Alkaram Jivraj, who's giving the funding, out to the stage for me.
Thank you, Alkaram.
you want to say a few words about why? Oh, he's got no microphone, so the answer is no to that.
I'll say a few
It's
words.
all you.
Well, I'm Gary Sternberg. I'm the founder and CEO of Daisy Intelligence. It's our mission to lower the cost of living and reduce poverty by helping companies make smarter decisions. If we help our companies be profitable and more efficient, they'll invest in price and innovation to lower the cost of goods sold and all the services you receive. We have an AI platform that delivers smarter decisions that are beyond human capability. Lots of companies make decisions that are highly mathematical and very complex and occur frequently and every day. And Daisy helps make these decisions autonomously. And we believe we can improve the nature of human work by taking highly repetitive drudgery away from the operators that exist in companies today. We've been able to double the profitability of our grocery clients who exist in Canada, the United States, Asia, and Europe. And I want to thank Espresso Capital, who's been a big supporter of ours over the last several years for this term sheet. And I want to thank the Canadian business community. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a community to build a successful business. And we've certainly in Canada taken advantage of SR&ED tax credits, the NRC IRAP grant program, CanExport, FedDev, and a plethora of other programs that has helped us get to where we are today. And this funding is only the beginning of our journey. We want to continue to grow. We need the help of this community to help us succeed. I want to thank the great team we have at Daisy Intelligence. It's the privilege of my life to have people believe in the vision. We have 40 people back at the office here in Toronto, and I take that responsibility to work for them. This award and this recognition is the hard work of the entire team, a bunch of computer scientists, engineers, and marketing people and admin staff that make it all possible. Thanks again, Alkarim. Appreciate it.